Hi, Hope Collective, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome if it's your first time. Today I am doing a general collective reading rather than a pick a card, and I've been guided to start with shuffling the Unfolding Path Tarot. So let's get in. Spirit guides and higher selves of this collective. What are they or we not seeing right now that would benefit them or us to see? What do we need to know? Magician, number 1 in the major arcana. I'll show you what that looks like closer up. The power is in your hands, I'm hearing. The power is in your hands. So some of you are not seeing your power in a situation that feels backed into a corner, stuck, or powerless. Yeah, 5 of Swords speaks exactly to that feeling of being stuck, backed into a corner, or powerless. I'm getting to put that reversed. I'll show you what it looks like closer first. 5 of Swords reversed, the swords falling out, walking away from a situation of conflict that made you feel less than you are. Made you feel less powerful than you are, less right with yourself than you are, less full of worth and potential, infinite potential than you are. Interesting. I'm being guided to move on from the Unfolding Path Tarot to the Tea Leaf Oracle. Clarification on the Magician and the 5 of Swords reversed, please, Spirit. What else does group 1, what else does this collective need to know? We have 2 coming out here. Dog close up, pleasure with a close friend, and handshake. A meeting with a stranger could be important. That's so interesting. And even though I read this first, I was getting, as I did so, that this should be read first. There's something important about this coming first. Pleasure with a close friend. Something about when you meet this stranger, you should consult a close friend about it. You shouldn't hesitate to speak to close friends about it. You shouldn't feel a need to keep it hidden. I'm noticing the globe here and the ring, but I'm not sure what's significant about the ring yet. It looks like a wedding band, so it could be that this meeting with a stranger is significant because some sort of partnership could form with them in the future, whether it is in fact marriage, if that's something you're looking for, or whether it is a different type of partnership, collaboration. A meeting with a stranger could be important. Yeah, I'm hearing a meeting with a stranger will be important. And with the globe, I'm just getting this feeling of like someone traveling from far away. So maybe you live in an area where people frequent on vacation frequently, and someone traveling to the area will meet you in passing, but will maintain the connection as they keep traveling, and it will grow into an important connection. That's a scenario that Spirit is giving me. There's room for roles to be reversed. You could be the one traveling when you meet the stranger, even if you're not. What I'm hearing actually is that even if you're not traveling afar, you could just be going out of your ordinary routine. Like you choose to, they're showing me someone being routed by their workplace to like go visit the office in a different county or something, and meeting a stranger who ends up being really significant. There's a divine timing at play there with the way that it seems at first really inconvenient or just neutral, just meaningless, that you're being directed to this other location on this day. And at first the meeting with the stranger doesn't even seem significant, but then they become a close friend that you experience a lot of richness and pleasure from the connection with them. I see, and walking away from the mindset and the mindset, the tension, the fear, the perception of other people as threats, the perception of yourself as less worthy or powerful than you are. Walking away from all that is necessary for you to let down your walls such that you can form a really pleasing and enriching and close connection with these new people, without writing them off as not having the potential to be good friends or real true connections, and without unintentionally pushing them away, and also without potentially compromising your own boundaries to try to form a connection. Upholding your own worth and your own boundaries is actually a feature, not a bug, when it comes to forming close connections. Upholding your boundaries is something that helps you form close connections with people who are healthy and really truly pleasant to be in connection with. It's not something that pushes them away. And I think you've experienced connections in the past with this Five of Swords reversed energy where you upholding healthy boundaries, it weeded them out like a sieve or a filter, filtered them out. And so it's been difficult for you to maintain that self-esteem and those healthy boundaries within yourself, and a really healthy, accurate self-perception, because it's felt like everyone has rejected you for having normal, healthy boundaries. I just heard from Spirit, for being normal. It's like, and people have made you feel like you're abnormal when they're the ones who are actually behaving unhealthily and frankly abnormally. As much as that might sound like a judgment to say, Spirit is encouraging you to own that reality and that accuracy. I'm being guided to just ring my singing bowl here, kind of like a gong to close out that chapter and to affirm your worth here and you standing in it. And those good boundaries that other people either actually abandoned you for or simply made it seem like they abandoned you for, and they abandoned you for completely unrelated reasons, those good boundaries are going to be a green flag, massive green flags to the right people. Whereas you not having those boundaries would actually be red flags to the right people, and you not having those boundaries is only seen as a tasty morsel to the people who want to take advantage of people who don't have boundaries, or who don't have boundaries themselves and therefore don't have the awareness and the self-awareness, and I just heard like the spatial awareness, the social awareness, the social intelligence to have effective relationships and have relationships where boundaries are enforced healthily. There's a message here that you haven't lost anything when you've lost those people. Good riddance is the message here. I'm hearing that Taylor Swift song, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, where she says towards the end, I think it's towards the end, but I don't have the lyrics all memorized to that song yet, so I could be wrong about the order. And I'll say good riddance, because it wasn't sexy once it wasn't forbidden. That song is all about it being a fantastic and positive thing to be well shot of a relationship that at the time was like the thing you wanted most in the world. But in hindsight, it's very clear it would have dragged you down had it continued. And so your Spirit is drawing your attention to that, to recognize someone like that leaving your life is actually a positive reflection of you and not a negative reflection of you. I get the feeling this has probably happened to you multiple times, because the level of toll this has taken on your self-esteem, or on your ability to accurately perceive yourself and accurately perceive all the positive, wonderful strengths that you have, has taken such a hit that that level of hit most likely has occurred from there being multiple occurrences of this. And we have the Magician, the infinity symbol. The Magician can take anything and pivot and use it as fertilizer, use it as fuel, absolutely anything. So there's this, with the infinity symbol, this pivot, this turning on its head, and the Five of Swords being reversed, this turning on its head of what that situation made you feel like it meant. It made you feel like it meant you were worth dirt to these people. And maybe to them you were. I can't really speak to that. But what it really meant, you are now in the process of discovering, was actually that your worth is too solid for you to waste time on those connections that would that would throw dirt on your worth and obscure it, hide it from you, disguise it from yourself and from the world. Purse, pay attention to your finances. A lot of times with pentacles, though, I get the meaning of self-worth, worth in the sense not of finances, but of your valuing of yourself and the way the relationships, jobs, people in your life value you. Do they value you appropriately? And that's what you're being guided to pay attention to. Certainly if that resonates with you, to also pay attention to your finances. Like, for example, if you are someone who in the past has engaged in retail therapy and overspent, or if you're someone who has a little bit of a hard time keeping track of your monthly bills, or the dates they're due, or things like that, certainly take that into account. But we have the royal purple and the royal gold here, and for me personally, my spirit guides have, since I started doing these collective readings, consistently used pentacles as a symbol of self-worth, and being grounded in that earthiness, not merely the physical, tangible resource, but the seemingly intangible, but truthfully very tangible and grounding, and honestly more important than any other resource of your self-worth, your belief in yourself, and your valuing of yourself, and your enforcing of your boundaries. Pay attention to that, keep it on lock, and pay attention to how other people value you and how they respect you. Are they trying to dip into the purse that's not theirs? Are they eyeing your purse, coveting your resources, your light? Or are they sharing with you mutually, like this infinity symbol? Is there a give and take that flows? And when I say this infinity symbol, I mean the one in the Magician, and also the handshake beneath the Magician echoes that. Is there a give and take, an equal handshake between you and the connections in your life? This is a call from your spirit guides to use that above all else as a metric of how are you being treated, and should you continue to engage in this relationship, and to cut ties, cut purse strings, cut people off from your purse, metaphorically and literally, regardless of whether you're actually giving money to them. Don't give money, energy, time to people who are not valuing you appropriately, and where there isn't this freely flowing, unobstructed give and take. Very important guidance for some of you. I'm being drawn to the messages from the Mermaids deck next. Trust. Yes, who can you build effective trust with is 100% governed by these self-worth rooted boundaries. You're treating yourself and carrying yourself and putting yourself forth into the world as someone who is of infinite worth and value, and shall be cherished and protected as such, and revered, even worshipped as such, in the contexts where that's appropriate. The water is so dark around this mermaid. There's a real sense of depth being conveyed here. You have untold depths to you, and you are being set up by the clearing out of your life of these Five of Swords energies, these purse snatcher energies. You're being set up to invite in people who match that depth, and to build real trust with them. There's a level of unguardedness to this mermaid. You're able to let down your guard in contexts where you are unhesitatingly and unflinchingly, unreservedly, without pause, without hesitation, enforcing your boundaries, and where other people are without pause or hesitation or reserve, respecting that enforcement. And that is the foundation. That enforcement of boundaries and that respectful reaction to their enforcement is the foundation for trust, period, the end. No ifs, ands, or buts, no qualifiers. And you're being set up to have real trust in your life. For some of you, for the first time ever, which is no small thing. You should be honored for that. And again, with that language of honoring, we have all the gold and purple in the purse and the magician and the gold and the handshake here. Yeah, just try to put a ring on it. Like, you deserve people who will literally or metaphorically put a ring on it, who are not afraid to commit, and who bring out that fearlessness to commit in you, because you have such a wealth of fierce, unflinching, undying, unhesitating love. You have that capacity to be a ride or die, and maybe have not had someone who could partner with you on that, like the handshake partnership, who could match your depth in that. Maybe haven't had that ever, or maybe haven't had that in a while, or maybe have thought you had that in the past, but because maybe you thought you had that in the past, but later were betrayed or found out that all that glitters was not gold in those situations. And that's why you're having these messages of like, here's how you test the gold, here's how you make sure it's real. And it's actually very simple and very easy. It's not something to overthink. That's the emphasis on be unflinching and unhesitating about enforcing your boundaries. It's actually very simple and easy to test the waters, to test the trustworthiness, as long as you do that. If you hesitate, then there becomes this, and it's not to guilt you if you do end up hesitating, because of course, if you've had negative reactions to boundaries in the past, there are going to be times when that happens. But there's just a word of warning there that when you hesitate, it kind of opens up this possibility, it opens up room for confusion to occur about, did they disrespect my boundary, or did I not make my boundary clear? And even in that case, when you do, after the hesitation or the pause, make your boundary clear, their reaction will still tell you everything you need to know. It may just take a little bit more time and a little bit more talking yourself down from or through this confusion if that happens. And that's something to be prepared for too, because life is not perfect. Life is life, and it's going to keep on lifing. And sometimes it doesn't stop when you actually really need a stop or a pause or a break to sift through your thoughts and parse your emotions and feelings and sort out how you feel about a situation and what you really want to say to state or clarify or enforce your boundaries. But make sure that when you do state or clarify your boundaries, you do also follow it up with the enforcement, with the, okay, I'm not going to engage with this person anymore if they don't follow through when they say they will respect that, or if they react by not taking things seriously, etc., etc. Okay, I'm being drawn to the frequency tarot. There's a certain like low-level buzz coming from your spirit guides. Like, tension is not quite the right word, but reverberation, this low-level hum, like tectonic plate movement. Like, things are shifting in the groundwork of your being and of the universe's. They're telling me that timelines is not the right word, but of your being and the universe's makeup, such that this trust can come into your life, these trustworthy relationships, these relationships where there is real, solid trust that will allow your nervous system to unclench for real, without there being a catch, without there being another shoe to drop. It's like things are being rewired on such a deep level that there's a ground hum. There's like a buzzing as things get set up for this to come into your life. Excitement is also not quite the right word, but this is an exciting thing to hear about coming into your life. So I hope that this message feels positive in that way, because that's what I'm feeling. There's this anticipation. That's what it is. It's a lot more neutral and less fluttery or nervous system agitating than excitement, but it's there. Okay. Healing. I love this card. This is an Arcturian light grid. If you don't know what the word Arcturian means, that's fine. If you're familiar with starseeds or extraterrestrials, Arcturians are very, very good at, they're a starseed or extraterrestrial being that is very good at healing through light codes, light grids, creating, tailoring, and wielding specific frequencies of light to create the desired or intended effect. I'm getting very strong wordings from Spirit today, so thank you, Spirit. We are on point with our channeling. Yeah, you're healing in such a way that you are able to let trust in, that you are able to be defensive with the right people and let down your guard with the right people and at the right moments. And over time, this is also leading to really being able to confidently assert your boundaries without the slightest flinch or hesitation, which I know might not be the case right now, but that's something that you're kind of in process with, that's in the works as a result of the healing that you're doing, and you should be proud of yourself for that. Meditation, interesting. Is this upright or in reverse? Okay, this is in reverse. I'm going to show you what it looks like upright. And we're going to read the meaning from the guidebook in reverse. I really love the Sri Yantra being in here on this one. This is a very dizzying piece of art. The very centered individual in the center does have this extremely like yanking your ankles down, like yanking your feet to the ground by the ankles. I'm hearing that Florence and the Machine song. How deeply are you sleeping, or are you still awake? A good friend told me you've been staying up so late. Be careful, my darling. Be careful what it takes. From what I've seen so far, the good ones always seem to break. There's more in the verse. I was screaming at my father, he was screaming at me, and I can feel your anger from way across the sea. And I was kissing strangers, I was causing such a scene. Oh, the heart, it hides such unimaginable things. Grab me by my ankles, I've been flying for so long. I couldn't hide from the thunder in a sky full of song. The song is called Sky Full of Song, and I had to recite all the lyrics up to the title to remember what the title was, but I was told that those lyrics will have resonance for some of you as well. So Sky Full of Song by Florence and the Machine. Grab me by my ankles, I've been flying for too long. I couldn't hide from the thunder in a sky full of song. Yeah, definitely listen to that. Some of you are going to find some healing in the resonance of those lyrics. Self-forgiveness is something I'm getting as those lyrics come through. Really forgiving yourself for having maybe acted out and caused scenes, or having acted out of alignment with yourself, and not having been grounded before. There's this feeling coming through from Spirit of like the overwhelming currents of air or water that would carry you away. I couldn't hide from the thunder in a sky full of song. It's like no one in their right mind would have expected you to stay grounded and aligned in the circumstances you were in. Cut yourself some slack. Give yourself a break. It's not your fault. And yeah, of course, we are always hoping, if we're engaged in these practices like meditation, to create firm, solid grounding and footing within ourselves such that we can better keep our footing each time a storm hits. That doesn't make it your fault if the practice you've done doesn't lead to you keeping your footing every time a storm hits. I hope that makes sense. When you get knocked over, it's not your fault, and you shouldn't beat yourself up for how long it took you to get back on your feet. There's a damn good reason, is what you're saying. There's a damn good reason why it took so long to find your feet, or why maybe it's not so long, but why it took so much stumbling, so much effort, so much. I'm getting this image of someone being on a boat, and it's like the boat doesn't stop rocking long enough for them to get hold of something and get to their feet, and there aren't any handles on the wall near them, like they're scrabbling for purchase on a completely smooth, slippery surface. And that's like, you're blaming yourself for that situation? No, absolutely not. That's not going to fly with your spirit guides. That's not true. It's not your fault that there weren't any handholds on the slippery surface and that the boat never stopped rocking. Like, come on, you're human. Give yourself a break. Be real. Be for real is what they're saying. And it's coming back to, again, like this estimation of yourself as so deeply flawed is not accurate. And that level of shame actually about imagined flaws will keep you from perceiving your real flaws accurately and managing them effectively. If you need a little extra motivation to get on board with seeing your strengths accurately, remember that that's the number one key to being able to effectively manage your weaknesses. But also, you just don't have as many weaknesses as you think you do, or you're not as weak as you think you are. This is very, very clear from Spirit. Okay. I'm being guided to read the meditation description in the Frequency Tarot guidebook first, and then we'll go to the healing card. So meditation in reverse, number 36. If you have drawn this card in reverse, you are trying to escape from your life. By preferring to not get your hands messy, so to speak, you are trying to make yourself exempt from the experience of life. Life is messy. You cannot make it clean, and you came here to experience it fully. Perhaps you are currently trying to use spirituality to bypass your negative emotions and negative experiences completely. The enlightened beings do not appear to be so at peace because they have become exempt from the highs and lows of life. They appear to be so at peace because they have become willing to feel the ups and downs of life completely. There's no longer any resistance to living. Yes, this is exactly like that shame. It's so funny that I channeled that before I read that message. That shame will cause you to try to escape from the flaws of life or of yourself, to escape from the hardships and the necessary messes of life, and try to hide from them. It'll cause you to flinch away from them. When healing that shame actually allows you to open up and actually deal frankly with messes and not cause them to make you think that you're dirty. Getting your hands dirty won't make you feel unworthy or like you're lowering yourself when you ground yourself in healing that shame. And this is clearly something you are either already doing or on the cusp of, or a little bit of both, with how this energy, this message is coming through, because there's this overwhelming feeling of this is already in motion, just like that infinity symbol of the magician being constantly in motion. Like, this is already in motion. Some of you are being called to meditate so as to just give yourself a safe space to just be present with feelings that are messy, or that trigger shame, or that are scary, that feel overwhelming. So do whatever it is that you need to do to make a safe space for yourself for that. For some of you, that might mean getting out in nature. For some of you, that might mean confiding in a trusted family member or friend or mentor. For some of you, that might mean scheduling a counseling appointment. You know, whatever it is. For some of you, it is just going to be meditation, and that's not you biting off more than you can chew. It's different for everyone. Some people, it is, and also different phases of life. The same person might in one phase of life feel perfectly or be perfectly safe to handle an overwhelming emotion by meditating, and at a different phase in life really need the safety of another person holding the space for it and helping them, and holding their hand with this handshake card and the hands of the magician card. Life is messy. You cannot make it clean, and you came here to experience it fully. You didn't come here to try to make it clean. That's not actually the point. Part of that, like turning things on their head and pivoting and transmuting and walking away from previous situations, is walking away from and turning on its head the mindset that the point or the goal is to make it clean, to get rid of flaws, to have a perfect life, to have a life where you never feel sad or never feel lonely or never feel anything unwanted, never feel shame, never feel guilt. And for some of you, part of why you've been rejected in a divine redirection way, or guided away from in other ways, these relationships that you've walked away from, has been because those people were enforcing that mindset, that approach to life, of the point of life being to make it squeaky clean and to airbrush it and to slap a filter on it, and the point of life being how it looks instead of how it feels. And you're walking away from that and walking within yourself to how your life feels, and to centering your life on how it feels instead of on the grade that you're getting or the reflection you're getting from someone else or the validation you're getting from someone else. And surrounding yourself with other people who are also a match to that, who also are centered on how their life feels, is going to actually allow you to get accurate reflections from other people, to build trust and get validation from people that actually matters and means something, because they're not glossing over anything. And they're not running away from their own flaws and expecting you to overlook them and not have to set boundaries with them. Or taking it as a dig when you, it's a part of what's going on here is you developing the maturity that someone else can reflect your flaws to you in a non-judgmental way without you perceiving judgment where there isn't, and you being a match to other people, or you finding other people who can also do the same. They can hear a reflection from you of, hey, that's not gonna fly with me, without them turning it into a judgment and making it all about them. There's a level of emotional maturity there, and I'm not assuming that emotional maturity is brand new for you, but finding that in other people consistently seems like it may be new, with all the emphasis on boundaries that came through. And my experience has been that shame and healing from it are very cyclical, so you may find that you've had that emotional maturity yourself for a long time, but that you're also are reaching a new level or layer of it because of the healing that you've done. It's like you've gotten so thoroughly lost so many times that your ability to find your center and your core sense of self, and ground in that from a place of having been lost, is becoming unmatched, like paramount, unparalleled. You are, with that pivot point of the magician, that transmutation point, you are reaching a point in your current journey where how lost you've been feeling for a while is being transmuted into a new level of strength, because you are yet again getting back up from having fallen down. You are yet again finding your way, or blazing a trail where there wasn't one, and you have gotten lost in the woods. I'm getting two references here. That the last part about getting lost in the woods brought out the Next Right Thing from the Frozen 2 movie. I think, and also the song Lost in the Woods, because those songs are about needing connection to heal, and also, but more importantly to this reading, more resonant to this reading, not trying to escape the messiness of life, not trying to escape being lost in the woods, but instead going, okay, what's the next right thing? I can't make myself unlost. What can I do? I'm gonna get my hands off what I can't control and put them on what I can. Okay? I can decide what the next right thing for me is. I don't need to know what the big picture looks like yet. I'm not unlost yet. I'm not found yet. But I can take a step in that direction. Whereas you might never get unlost if you are trying to escape the lostness, or pretend you never got lost, whether out of pride or shame or ignorance, or whether you're trying to convince other people that you aren't lost and that you have it all together. It doesn't matter which one of those, but you can't get unlost if you aren't like, okay, we're lost. You got to start from where you are. And the other reference is, there's a quote, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I think it's Anaisin, Anaisin. I've seen it on paper 1,000 times, and I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced, so I don't know how to pronounce it. Gosh, what if it's not that person who said this quote? I could be completely off base about this. I think it's them. But there's a quote about, it is by facing annihilation over and over and over again that you find that which is indestructible within you. And I think part of my confusion about whether it is attributed to that person or not is because I've seen it misattributed to people who didn't actually say it. Because I've seen it quoted many, many times over the course of my life. So if I remember to look up who actually said that, I will put it along with the correct wording instead of my paraphrased wording in the description box or the comments. Forgive me if I don't remember. Feel free to put it in the comments yourself, or to ask me to remind me. But yeah, that it's by getting lost in finding yourself over and over again, by getting lost in blazing a trail where there is none over and over again, that you really discover yourself, learn yourself, get to know yourself, discover what your boundaries are, what your core sense of self is, what your touchstones are, what you return to, what will pull you out of the darkness each time it swallows you. And it sucks. It's messy. It's painful. It's overwhelming. It feels like you might not survive. And by surviving it, you learn how to. And sometimes there just is no one else to blaze that trail for you. And that doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you've gotten lost or broken irreparably or irrevocably. It is part of life, because everyone's life is an unblazed trail. Everyone's life is a mystery until they take that next step, do the next right thing, and choose what their life is. It's the truth for everyone. And some people do have more trailblazing to do than others because they choose more unique paths that have fewer role models, and you may find resonance in that sense of, if you don't fit in, it's because you came here to make changes and be different, not you didn't come here to fit in. But even if you could have the most ordinary job and the most seemingly ordinary relationships and still have those times of being lost and overwhelmed and having to make your own choices and learn your own mind, learn your own will, discover things for yourself, and make up your own mind and stand firm in it, 10 toes down. Okay, so the healing card, number 7. If you have drawn this card upright, you are being given the opportunity to heal. The universe is calling you to become sound, healthy, and whole again. Trust that your healing is in process and that the opportunities for further healing are finding their way to you. You do not need to force it to happen. Allow others to assist in your healing process and be open to new opportunities that come your way, even if they seem out of the ordinary. All powers in the universe are working with you to get you to a state of well-being. All I can say to that is amen. Amen. And that does really confirm some of the things that have come through my channeled messages about new relationships being due for you, and your self-healing in the realm of transmuting shame into infinite, deep, deep, bottomless well of self-worth is already underway, and is potentially something you should be proud of yourself for having worked on for a really long time at this point. But even if you feel newer to it, it's still something that's already underway. And if it's something you've worked on for a long time, but you've recently felt like your feet have been swept out from under you, I can raise my hand to that one. So you're not alone if that's the case. And if that is the case, healing for this layer is already underway, and more is on its way to you. And you have done, what I'm getting is this sense of like you having stripped away defense mechanisms or barriers that were standing between you and receiving the healing that has been on its way to you. That's been part of the healing, so it's not something to beat yourself up for. We're talking barriers from childhood or from your ancestry. Especially childhood is really resonating, ringing in my clairaudient, claircognizant, etc. senses. Childhood wounds, childhood barriers, and the childhood wounds needed to be healed before the barrier could be let go. You can't take off the cast before the bone is broken. You can't take off the band-aid before the wound scabs and scars over. Otherwise, you have an open wound exposed to the elements. So instead of beating yourself up for having those barriers for as long as you did, you should give yourself a round of applause and a pat on the back for drawing on the fortitude, the deep, deep fortitude to go to these like really deep, dark waters and heal these really deep wounds. That's not nothing. And that's what it takes to be able to let down those barriers, to strip away those barriers, so that you can allow love to soak in and to additionally fortify and lock in the healing that you've already been doing. Yeah, and this Arcturian light code, just you having let it soak into you from this reading, is something that can and will additionally help reinforce your healing. So don't take that for granted either. Okay, I'm being drawn to the Light Seers Tarot. What else? What have we got? What have we got, Spirit Guides? What have we got? Such a beautiful reading. Thank you for being here for this. I feel so much healing, fortifying energy coming through with these messages. It's such an honor to be a part of, and I know that sounds like lip service, but I mean it. Justice, karma. Karma, karma, karma. I'm hearing the song Karma by Taylor Swift. But also the song, gosh, Look What You Made Me Do. Another day, another drama. All I think about is karma. Another day, another drama, but not for me. All I think about is karma. The world moves on. Another day, another drama, not for me. All I think, yeah. I had to get the words straight in my head. There's a real internal balance and equilibrium with the knife's edge, double-edged sword balance of the scales and the justice and the infinity symbol and the magician that you are reaching in yourself by like coming to this 0 point of not resisting reality, being able to face it and feel it all with equilibrium and like float or stand in your core sense of self without being knocked over by the tide. There's this sense of like, even when the tides do buffet you, okay, they move you, be affected, let yourself be affected. And that doesn't cancel out staying in your core, staying in your center, staying in your core sense of self, your self-awareness. You don't have to pretend to not be affected or pretend not to care or pretend not to be sensitive or to be not be influenced by your surroundings in order to stay in your core sense of self. Actually accepting that you are affected is crucial to discovering your core sense of self. What it's like that thing about by facing annihilation over and over again, you discover what's indestructible in you or about you. There are going to be aspects of yourself that don't actually change from situation to situation, even though that how they are expressed changes from situation to situation. The same way justice or karma can be your friend in one situation or your enemy in another situation. Seemingly, it's never really your enemy, but it can feel that way, right? Like the cause and effect, the consequences of your actions can feel like, oh, thank God past me did that, or it can be like, oh, why did past me do that, right? And you embodying karma in terms of enforcing your boundaries with other people can appear intimidating to them or can appear peaceful and blissful and harmless, right? Innocuous, like a little babe, like a little child. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's different traits. It's different ways that they're being expressed in reaction to different situations. And with that, letting yourself be affected, the song Good For You by Olivia Rodrigo is coming through because she has the line in the chorus. I lost my mind and spent the night crying on the floor of my bathroom, but you're so unaffected, I really don't get it. But I guess good for you. And there are lines in that song that express like, she says like, good for you, you look happy and healthy, not me. If you ever cared to ask, good for you, you're doing great out there without me. God, I wish that I could do that. So you could take it as her wishing she could be unaffected by the things, But she also really throws shade on this person acting unaffected by something, by a relationship that was really deep and meaningful. So it's like, okay, were you pretending during the relationship when you made it seem like this was just as deep and meaningful to you as it was to me? Or are you pretending now and you're doing that just to make it seem like I'm weird for not being over it, but you really aren't over it either? And when you look at it through that lens, instead of it being like this really sincere wish that they could also be unaffected, it's like the narrator character is instead going like, you're the abnormal one, you're the weird one for not being affected. Like, you're supposed to be affected by life and by love and by the messes of life and love, by heartbreak, by tragedy. Like, it's weird for you not to be, actually. You're so unaffected. I really don't get it. I guess good for you. Like, like I was saying before, let yourself be affected. And that actually is going to be your source of equilibrium, is allowing the ways that things affect you to reverberate through you instead of resisting them. Because when you allow them to reverberate through you, you will find that you're still standing when they're done reverberating. And you'll find that some things about you are changed by the reverberations and other things aren't. And some things are changed temporarily and some changes last. And by going through that full cycle of the infinity symbol, of being swayed in one direction and brought all the way down to around to the other side of the pendulum swing and back to center, you're going to discover which things come with you all the way back to center and which things get changed along the journey. And that's priceless. It's more than worth the cost of admission. I just looked at the timer and it was 46:44, and then it went up to 46:46. So some numerology there for you folks. 444 could be significant, telling you that you're on the right path and supported. 4646 reduces down to 1010 in numerology, so that confirms the completion of a cycle like we've been talking about. And this justice is also 11. And we have the 5 plus 7 here coming up to 12, so we really have like a complete cycle, 10, 11, 12, and coming back to the... It's not coming back to square one with the magician. It's discovering what, with the number 1, the self competency, the self-assuredness of the magician, the infinite potential of the magician, and the ability to roll with anything and transmute anything and use anything as fertilizer or fuel. That's the core characteristic of the magician, and that's showing you like you're not back to square one, you're not set back by the things that have swept you under or overwhelmed you. You're being revealed by them. Like, your core self, the number 1 that was there all along, is revealed and honed and harnessed. And it's your choices. The magician is also all about free will and choice points. That 0 point, that center of gravity, the power that is in your hands, like we said at the very beginning, coming full circle in so many ways at this moment. So it's also about that. Why was I saying that? Wow, those thoughts just got wiped right out of my brain. Yeah, revealing your free will to make choices about what you do next, the next right thing. You get to choose what's right for you. And you also get to choose to tune in to Spirit's guidance about what is most right for you when you aren't sure. That in and of itself is a choice. That's not giving away your free will. That's surrendering the distractions and the things that would obscure divine guidance. Show me what I need to know to make an informed choice. Show me what I need to do to harness my free will in a way that is aligned with myself and the universe. Show me, God, Spirit, universe, Spirit guides. That is a prayer that I think we can all get behind. And that may serve you well in your meditations and as you make decisions going forward to harness your free will and enforce your boundaries and blaze new trails, forge new paths, and become more of yourself. Because that's what I mean when I say, you know, defense mechanisms and barriers that to receiving have been stripped back, and the number 1 that's been there all along has been revealed. It's like you are becoming more and more of yourself through these challenges rather than less and less of yourself, and that's because you're choosing to rise up and meet them, and you should be proud of that. You should be proud of pushing through on your lost days. You should be proud. I'm hearing It's Always Darkest Before the Dawn from Shake It Out by Florence the Machine. You should be proud of holding on. You really should. Yeah, and with that full circle that we were talking about with the infinity symbol and then the justice, what goes around comes around, there is some serious good karma that's part of that buzzing anticipation of what's next for you in the spiritual, in spirit, in the multidimensional realms, in the other realms, the higher realms. It's not like it's all been just waiting behind a dam, but it's like, this came up in the last reading that I posted right before this, not right before this, but the most recent reading I posted before this. There being such a complete clear out and reset that it just takes some time for the physical to catch up, because it's not just one thing that you've healed, one wound that you've healed, one timeline that you've shifted. It's like everything, or it's like the entire slate has been cleared. So it's not that like all this good karma has been behind a dam, like in reserve, blocked from coming to you. It's that it's been slowly starting to trickle in, and it's going to start snowballing as the physical catches up to all the changes that you've made, all the healing that you've done, all the things you've cleared out, all the drains that you've walked away from, all the poor decisions that you've amended. I'm hearing all the apologies you've made. So some of you may really have gone through like a 12-step process where you've made amends with people, or even if you didn't go through a 12-step process, may have really made amends with others or with yourself. Self-forgiveness did come through earlier. So there is this theme here of like acknowledging where you've truly effed up, and also recognizing where it really wasn't your F up that messed things up for you or screwed things up for you. It was actually that someone else effed up and you happened to trust them, and that wasn't actually on you. Yes, that is teaching you red flags to look out for when you're trusting people in the future, but it's not like when something bad happens to you as a result of having trusted the wrong person, it's not your fault that you trusted the wrong person. Like, that is such a huge paradigm shift for people who are accustomed to self-blame and who've been told like, oh, you were so naive, how could you have put yourself in that situation? That is a fear-based control mindset, and that's completely fictional. This goes back to that meditation card in reverse, meaning about like life is messy, you can't make it clean. You also can't control everything, and you can't control other people's choices, and blaming yourself for trusting the wrong people is asserting and affirming a belief that you can control other people and their choices. Maybe someone was mostly trustworthy right up until that one negative choice that made, or maybe they were really good at hiding their red flags, or maybe they were not hiding, not even trying to hide it, but they were really good at manipulating and coercing and pushing your buttons. It doesn't really matter which one it is. What matters is that your paradigm, we've been talking about it getting flipped on its head. It needs to get flipped on its head so completely that you actually recognize, like, the fact that I trusted the wrong people doesn't mean I can't trust myself. It shows me it opens my eyes to some areas of discernment, some red flags that I will look out for in the future, some learning opportunities. It shows me myself to get to know myself better. It doesn't mean I can't trust myself. The fact that these people tricked me, and I really thought I was guided to trust them, and I really thought that I was being alert when I trusted them, doesn't mean that I can't trust myself now. I was never a black mark against me. And that's something that Spirit is really, really wanting to hammer home for you. They want this new paradigm, this shift in paradigm, this shift in worldview, this shift in how you view yourself to be rock solid. And they want that for you, for your sake, because it changes your life completely and for the better, because it changes how you perceive yourself. It changes what you make things mean when they happen to you, instead of everything that happens to you being something that immediately causes you to reroute your thoughts into self-doubt and second guessing, and what did I do to bring this about, and how can I fix myself to make this never happen, or what do I need to do to change myself such that I can keep this good thing and not lose it. That panic and self-doubt and second guessing does not need to be where you go in reaction to everything that happens to you. And that was bad programming from the start, and you are reprogramming yourself now, and you are being so encouraged, so moved in the direction of allowing that healing to come in for you and to be reinforced for you by source and by spirit. I'm seeing it, I'm feeling it actually coming through this reading as like this flood of golden sparks to light you up, to infuse you with this sense of your magic, of your connection to source, of your goldenness. Heart of gold, I'm hearing. It's like when you have a heart of gold and end up trusting the wrong people, that doesn't actually tarnish the gold. It doesn't actually mean that your heart was like the fact that they were something that glittered but was not gold does not change that your heart really is gold. Back to this purse of purple and gold, like you the poem Royal Heart by Andrea Gibson is coming through. Strongly recommend listening to that poem. Andrea Gibson is an incredible spoken word artist, and Royal Heart is a poem of theirs that I've had memorized for a very long time, and you should go listen to it immediately after this if you've never heard it before. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. Call in your royal heart is one of the lines, the title line from that poem. And we have that purple and gold in the purse card. Call in your royal heart. Tell it bravery can never be measured by a lack of fear. It takes guts to tremble. It takes so much tremble to love. Every first date is an earthquake, is what that poem says. So again, back to that, like, stop expecting yourself not to be messy. Stop expecting yourself not to be scared. You're supposed to be scared. You're supposed to be affected. This is how it works. It's part of life to trust people and get let down, and then also to trust people and have them follow through and be worthy of trust. It's how it works. You did nothing wrong. Keep going. Keep going. You're not supposed to quit because of things that are in fact a feature and not a bug, no matter how much they suck in the moment. Thank you so much for being here. Spirit is pulling this reading to a close now. Is there anything else, Spirit? Any other cards or messages that you want to bring through for this collective, Spirit? Any other encouragement or guidance for how to move through into the future and cement this healing? They're saying you have everything you need. They're saying if you feel like you're uncertain about how to proceed forward at the moment, like go back and listen to this reading again, and also go listen to some of the things I referenced, because there are a lot of them, and you'll get your inspiration for your next right step from there if you're still feeling uncertain at this moment. Thank you so much for being here. This has been an incredible reading to be a part of. Thank you so much for allowing for coming together with me in the union of this collective bubble of this reading. If you're interested in a personal reading, you'll find the link to my website in the description box, and I would love to see you there, or in the comment section, or at my next reading. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you there. Thank you so much.